if there's something you want to do and pursue it, I mean, you got to go all in. If not, I mean, you just kind of, you just want to sing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but just sing your heart out and just do it, for the love of it. But if you want to really go chase this thing, yeah, you really got to just go 100%.
Welcome to Ignite Your Passion with me, Bonnie Lang, where I've had the privilege of interviewing incredible individuals. Every interview is an opportunity to gain insights and knowledge, to be inspired by their stories, and learn from their experiences. Are you ready to get inspired? At just 15 years old, Gabe Garcia embarked on a musical journey, recording his first demo in Nashville, setting the stage for a future that would be written in melodies and chords. From strumming a guitar to sharing stages with legends and even gracing national television, Gabe's path is a testament to resilience, dedication, and a deep-rooted love for music. Through the highs and lows, the twists and turns, he's continued to follow his passion, a true testament to the power of music in shaping a life, whose music and determination have inspired countless others along the way. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and spread the word about this podcast among your friends. If you know someone passionate about their craft, drop me a message. I'd be thrilled to feature them as a guest. Hello, Gabe. How's it going today?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Glad
Finally.
I know. I've been reaching out to you. You're always so busy. And
I know. It's like just getting home and it's just like, okay, I get like so many things I do and I keep myself busy all the time doing stuff. And I could just like just chill.
Just chill. Well, sounds like you got a lot going on still. So first of all, tell us all about you. Tell us what you do for a living and where you're from and where you're living now.
Well, I am 43 years old, single, married, never been married, no kids. I live downtown San Antonio. I'm from a little small town called Lytle, Texas, which is about 30 minutes south of here. I work for CPS Energy here in San Antonio as an inspector, and I play music. So I stay pretty busy.
I love it. So what ignited your passion for music?
Man, I guess just growing up, my brother was actually the one that started singing. He's 5 years older than me. So my dad was a city councilman in my hometown, and my brother would play a lot of events and stuff for him. And so growing up, I was always around that music. And then, of course, going like to dances and like with my parents and stuff like that, watching live bands at weddings or wherever, we'd go. But I guess I was more, you know, besides like the singing, I mean, I was more into like drums. So I would always be at my grandparents and have buckets and sticks and just bang on them. My dad finally bought me an electric drum set. And so I would just mess around with that and just kind of play like alternative music and stuff like that in the room. And I think all we had back then was a Nintendo. So that was really it. So it was either that or play outside or just mess around in the room and just play the drums. And I probably didn't get into singing really till a little after that when my brother was getting ready to go to college and I would jump in the room when nobody was home and go and sing on his karaoke machine and had the blinds open. Had the blinds on, yeah, make sure nobody was coming. So but I can't remember how they heard me or when. I always can't remember that part. But they did. So then when my brother went to college, he had a guitar there that he was supposed to learn and never did. And so I kind of just picked it up. My uncle gave me a guitar book and I taught myself, and there went my career right there.
That's incredible. So what was your first step into Nashville?
Actually, so my brother's friend he went to high school with when they graduated, my brother's friend Touchstone McDonald, he took off to Nashville, so he wanted to pursue a music career. So he was part of a group up there, and then he went to Belmont University, and then he started working for a publishing company. And so he knew I sang and stuff, and so my brother asked him like, "Hey, I want to go record my brother?" So I was 14 years old and went to record my first two songs in Nashville. And then I went back again, which is like another whole story. But I don't know if you want me to go through that one or you want to wait.
We'll
And
get to that one. I think I know
okay.
which one that one is, right?
Well, yeah, I was 17 years old when I recorded my first album, but we'll lead into that one because there's a story behind that one too. They all have. There's always something in what made something happen. And but actually, like to the big the big time like Nashville stuff was a buddy of mine, Bart Butler from Hondo, Texas. He's actually a friend of mine introduced me to him, and he came down and come watch us. He was living in Nashville, and he came down and come watch me and my band. It was Medina County Fair, and so after that, we started working together, and he started pitching me to labels. And yeah, I mean, that's really what got me to move to Nashville too, was because the labels were coming down, flying up. I was working full time, and I was taking all my vacation to go to Nashville, and so they really wanted me to move up there. So I actually eventually did.
Wow. And you were on a reality show, Nashville Star. So
Hmm.
how did that work out? How did you get on it?
I get so also with Bart Butler. So he, like I said, all my years going to Nashville, it's kind of like you meet so many people and you're involved in the industry. And so at the time, I met John Rich from Big and Rich, and which John and Big Kenny from Big and Rich, they actually used to sleep in Bart's dad's publishing house in Nashville when they were all young. They all used to just bum around anywhere they can. And so, yeah, so Bart's known John for a long time, and John was a part of Lone Star and wrote a bunch of their songs, and then he started Big and Rich. And so we knew each other back then. And so when I moved to Nashville, he knew I moved to town. So he at the time, that's when they had already, I guess I could say now, because so when I moved to Nashville, there was, like, when they have like American Idol and everything, you have to like wait in line, and
Try
everybody
out.
has to go all the cities and stuff. So
Yeah.
Nashville was the last one. So they had already done all that. Like, so they had already gone through all the cities, and Nashville was the last one where everybody was gonna go. It's kind of like going to Hollywood. You're going to Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I guess I was just fortunate that so John was a judge on the show, and it was produced by NBC. So he found out that I moved to town, and I got it, and he told him about me. And I didn't even know he did. So I got a phone call from NBC, the casting people, and they were like, "Hey, we got you down for callbacks and this and that." I'm like, "For what?" They're like, "Nashville Star." I'm like, "What? I never even signed for that." Like, and they're like, "Well, somebody gave us your name, and I was like, "Well, when is it?" And they're like, "Well, it's this weekend." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "I'm not gonna be in town." I was like, "I have to go sing at a wedding in Texas." So yeah, so I actually turned it down when they called me, because this was 4 days before the wedding in Texas, that these people that I've never met,
Yeah.
they're just friends of friends, and they'd already bought my plane ticket, hotel room, bottle of whiskey. They're gonna pay me, and it was just already all planned out 4 days before the wedding. And I was like, I can't do that. Like,
No.
and so I was like, the bride will kill me.
Yeah.
And so the lady was kind of freaked out. And she was like, "Are you like for real?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." Like, I can't do that. So I turned
Yeah.
down the show, and then so like 5 minutes later, John Rich calls me. He's like, "Gabe," he's like, "I'm a judge on here. It's NBC. I'm trying to make you a star. Blah blah blah. Like, can you talk to them?" I'm like, damn, man. I was like, oh, I was like, I
Oh.
wanted him to make the call, but I was like, I
Yeah,
gotta get me out of the clear. So I was like, all right, let me call them. And so I called the couple, and I mean, of course, they're bummed out, I mean, 4 days
Yeah.
before the wedding, and but they actually were cool. It was like the quiet thing. It was like just silence. They were like, well, we can't stop you from chasing a dream and
Oh my
going to
God.
Nashville. That's why you moved up there. And so, I ended up making it up to that for them, and making it up to them. And so I called John back, and I was like, hey, I talked to them. They're cool about it. I'll do the show. And so he was like, damn right you are, this and this and this and that. And so yeah, I still had to go meet in front of NBC and do all that. So I still had to go through a little process to get on there and get selected. I guess to show, because
Yeah.
everything had to be filmed. So it was like the whole process. Like, I got selected and everything. So
Well, so I saw there's a video of you out there performing Ricky Martin's La Vida Loca,
oh God,
and you've got backup dancers. What was
yep.
it like having backup dancers and just being on national TV?
It was cool, and that was a little joke that so Jewel. So the judges were Jewel, Jeffrey Steele, who was a great, huge songwriter too in Nashville, and John Rich. And so Jewel was my mentor. I was on Team Jewel. So she laughs about that episode, because John was just laughing. He's like, "Did you see the way Gabe just lit up?" And those girls came on stage, and then she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Whenever they said that you could have backup dancers, Gabe was right away like, I want some." And they asked how many I wanted. I was like, I want all of them. Like, give me more. Yeah. So yeah, and that was another thing too. Like, they saw, that was another thing. especially like the Ricky Martin thing. So that was a big push for the show because I think John wanted to like having me on there because he wanted that whole Hispanic audience to bring to watch watch the show and have all that.
Yeah.
They wanted all diversity and everything, and that was a big thing of me moving to Nashville too. A lot of what my meetings were about because at the time back in the day, I mean nobody's been around since Johnny Rodriguez, Freddie Fender, Emilio, Rick Trevino. Now Rick Trevino was back in the '90s. That's it. So it was a huge void of that, and labels. I remember emails of labels wanting that. They were like looking for the next Selena in country kind of thing, like that, just to be
Yeah.
that big superstar. And so yeah, that's a lot of those meetings were happening because of that too. And so when John knew I moved to town, it was just like a perfect opportunity to do that. And he would always push that too. So like he would always mention that. And so when they gave me Living La Vida Loca, I was like, really? Like, are they really targeting that? Like, come on. And so I was like, everybody's gonna laugh at me.
Oh,
And
but no, it's
no,
awesome.
it turned out cool. But at the
Yeah.
time, because they would give you selections, and they wouldn't give you many. They would give you
Yeah.
like two or three selections to pick from, and I only
Yeah.
had two. And this other song wasn't really good because it was Pop Goes Country Night, and so that was one of the options. I'm like, well, I guess I got to do that one because the other one sucked. I didn't even know it. It was some pop song, like really pop song, but I made it work, and the dancers made it work too. So that
Well,
was
so
good.
obviously you're country. Country, country.
Yeah, I was pretty country, and they would say that too. They were really impressed by my vocal, and they'd always say that on the show. You're one of our, pretty much our top vocalists, and you're country and this and that, and because everybody on there was so different. It was just, I mean, not saying nobody was all country, but it was like, I mean, they had me singing all the George Strait songs, like Jackson type stuff, and so it was perfect. Like it was right up my alley. So I tore it up, when I went up there and did it.
Were there any others that actually became big stars as well that were on the same?
There's there's a couple guys. Well, Cafe Anderson, he sings that song Mr. Red, White, and Blue, and that's just kind of his song right now on like social media. He's always kind of, I think before even he was on the show, he kind of had like social media thing because I think social media was just kind of getting out there and really boosting up. Not like it is now, but
Okay.
he was already kind of using that platform. So he was really good with that. So he's been really good with that, and so he's been playing a lot of stuff, and he was in a movie too. He's got his own couple Netflix things he's done.
Oh, cool.
There's another buddy of mine that was on there, Justin Gaston. When he got selected, he was like the underwear model guy. Like
Oh, got
he was the guy that was picked for all the ladies to watch the show.
it.
Yeah, so he was modeling and doing acting before then too. He was from LA, so he still does all that, and he's been in some commercials and movies and a bunch of different stuff like that too. So there's a really good. I'm trying to remember the it's like a Netflix, but I think I forget what it's called. I'd have to text it to you later, but
Oh, no.
it's a really good movie. But it's actually like he's a country singer. And he finds out that he has a kid out there, and so the mom passed away, so he has to take care of the kid now, and stuff like that, and just the whole journey of that. And he was drinking all the time and just pawned the kid on his grandparents and stuff like that. But it's a really good movie. So Cafe and Justin are both on that movie. So I have to let you know which one that is. I can't remember
Yeah,
the name of
yeah.
it, but it's really good. You probably like it.
Now, was Miranda Lambert in this season? She wasn't in
No,
the same season, was
she
she?
was on. I was on the sixth season. And that was the final season they had. Miranda was on the very first season. I want to say that was like on either CMT or USA channel, one of them. And then
Oh,
Chris Young was on a middle season. He won his. There was a couple other guys. I know Casey Musgraves was on one, but I don't think she made it to the finals.
yeah. I remember hearing you on the radio. So you were actually on national radio.
I was on national radio.
I heard you played on KJ 97.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah,
hearing
yeah.
one of your songs at that time, one of your new
They need
songs.
they need to keep still playing it.
So you work with George Strait's manager and John Rich. So what was it
Mhm.
like working with them?
So right after Nashville Star, we did a tour and everything, and then after the tour, we were done with the show, and so I got connected with Irv Woolsey, George Strait's manager, because I used to go to his bar all the time, and we used to that was all our hangouts. That was like the popular place to go. Everybody would go, and so I got it set up with meeting with him, and we ended up working together, and so it was great. But I mean, just the way people treated you, the things I got to do, it was really cool because I mean, you got the biggest manager in town. You know, that's what everybody was just
Yeah.
like
Heck
wow,
yeah.
man, like you're with the straight camp. And so it was really cool. I mean, a lot of cool things I got to do for a small town guy from Lytle, you know. So it was, but I think the thing that kind of sucked about that part was just he wasn't hungry enough. Like, so we were expecting, you know, also John Rich was expecting too, because he was, you know, he was one that pushed me, and the hype was already up here still with the show. So I just gotten done, but it was just like I sat there for a while because he's got George Strait, you know, they don't have to do nothing really
Oh,
too much.
right.
So
Yeah.
so it was kind of like if I was just there, it was like the Mexican George Strait kind of thing, as they pushed me to be, and I mean his band, George's band, were like ready to go, man. I met those guys before, and they were just excited. And they were like, "Man, like, why aren't you on tour with us already?" You know, and I'm like, "Well, man, all I can do is just tell her we're kind of push him more, but I can't make him do anything."
Yeah.
And he would always tell me like, "Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna work with Keith Stegall, which is like his best buddy." Keith Stegall
Yeah.
wrote "Don't Rock the Jukebox." He produced Alan Jackson, Mike Brown, and so we were supposed to do something together, and it never happened. And so it was already like 2 years past,
Yeah.
and so John Rich was like, "Man, you got to get out of there. Like, we got to
Yeah.
do something. You know, everything's already dying down. Like the
Yeah.
momentum's." So I ended up. And that was another tough thing because before I worked with John, I went to other managers that were younger and were hungry and were like really had fire going. And I went to them first before I went with John, and everybody was just like, "No, I can't work with you. I don't want to piss off Irv." And you know,
Oh, yeah.
everybody was so scared of the burning bridges or anything like that. So, and
Yeah.
Nashville's a small town, you know, nobody wants to burn bridges there. But
Yeah.
you get John Rich, an egotistic guy like that. I don't care, because he's John does what he wants to do, which was a big deal with John Rich. A lot of people didn't like because he's just one of those guys that takes control of everything and wants to be in control of everything. So I was like, well, I mean, I kind of have no choice, you know. So it's either go with John or nothing, or just sit there. So I ended up going with John Rich, and Irv was a little upset a little bit for a couple months, but he got over it. We've been buddies again. But
Oh,
I told him, I mean, what do you expect? You know, what you need me to do? Kind of, you know, been waiting around a
yeah. This
while.
is your career. Yeah.
So I got with John, and we ended up working together for a couple years, and ended up signing a writing deal with him, and management deal, and then a shopping agreement, which I ended up getting a record deal with a label called Average Joe's Entertainment. The only country guys on that label were myself, Kevin Fowler, and Montgomery Gentry.
Oh, cool.
So everybody else was kind of like the more. These guys were a big independent label, so they were based out of here, Nashville, and Georgia. So they kind of had like Colt Ford and a bunch of other like those country rap guys, which just pretty much just started the whole country rap thing in Nashville.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was signed to them, and I did a record, but the record never came out because at the time had just released his song "That Girl,"
Hmm.
and that was
That's
like his only national single. And at the time, the president of the label took another job, and my project came to a halt. And so ended up having to just try to push it with another label, because the label was like, "Well, we can't do anything with it right now because we don't have that." Since they were like an independent, and they, like I said, me, John Rich, and like I'm just sure were the only country guys. The president of the label was actually the big. He used to be a guy from Sony that knew a lot of the country radio people, and so
mhm.
when he left, they were kind of like, "Man, well, we don't know the whole in and outs of the whole country market as far as like country music." Like that time was when all the Florida Georgia Line type stuff came around. Where
Mhm.
that was the whole transition of country, when country music just changed to pop country. So it was totally. I was too country for country at the time.
I got you.
So that's what kind of happened, and what kind of what made me make my move back to Texas after once all that happened, and I left the label, and they gave me a couple options, either to keep working with John Rich and try to pitch the album to another label, or leave the label and just do whatever I want. So
Yeah.
I ended up just doing whatever I want, moving back to Texas, and starting my own record label back home.
I want to jump back to one thing and then come right back to where we're at right now
Mhm,
because I think it's so cool. Your hometown of Lytle, whenever you were on
mhm.
Nashville Star, had a huge parade for you and you were presented a key to the city of Lytle. How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel your whole town being there,
Yeah,
for you, supporting you?
it was just cool because my like I said, growing up there, like I said, my dad was a city councilman. My parents were really well respected, there, my family, and my brother singing and doing all that stuff, and then me taking
Mm.
over. And even back in high school, like I was an FFA. I sang my junior senior year, went to nationals, and even the city supported me during that time. Like, I was their hometown kid, doing all that stuff and pursuing my music career, and just pushing the singing. So when it came to that, it was a huge thing for them, because it was just like Idle, Texas, a little bit,
Yeah.
3,000 people, and I'm putting a light on the map and on national television. And so, man, they were pumped there. I mean, people still talk about it sometimes. They're just like, they think it's
Oh.
the best, like the best thing ever, because it was like the town was a free for all. Like, all my friends were like, man, we had ice chests behind our golf carts and four wheelers and driving all over town, and the cops didn't give a crap. Everybody was just like, everybody was just having a blast. Everybody was just, and it
Oh,
was like during the week. It was like, I think it was like on a Wednesday they went and filmed that, and we did that. And yeah, there was like 5,000 people at the parade, and 10,000 people at the concert afterward the parade.
oh.
And this was like, so this is a
Oh.
weekday, and I'm like, man, where all these people come from? And so, yeah, it was during the time. So we did it, the top four on the show. We did hometown concerts, and of course, I had the most people, because I remember all the producers were calling each other. Well, how many people you got over there? How many people you got over there? So yeah, so it was really fun, and I think everybody just had a blast being involved, and not many things happen like that in so small town. So it was really cool. And so yeah, people still talk about it, and they my dad, like I said, my dad was a city councilman for about 16 years. He passed away in 2007. So
Oh,
that was actually my big reason too for moving to Nashville and chasing my dream, is because he passed away of a heart attack, just gone like that. So it kind
oh,
of just changed my views of life, and just taught me how short life is. So he taught me that, and so he passed away in October 2007. I quit CPS Energy in November of 2007, like a month later. I
yeah.
quit and sold my house and stayed for the holidays. And then January 2008, I took off to Nashville. And then 3 months later, I got on the TV show. So it was just like back to back. I,
Oh,
I think
wow.
he made a lot of this happen.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so it was a cool emotional ride during that time too, because it was like, I know he was one that always pushed my music a lot, and stuff like that. And so it was kind of a emotional ride, and it was cool. Like, I know he was helping me out throughout the whole thing too. So
Yeah, that he was
so to
there.
have to so to be there, like with the city and the TV, it was just, man, it was like, man, I wish he was here, to see all that. And
Yeah.
so it
It's
was it
like
was a big
yeah.
it was a very special moment in my career and time, and doing all that. And I think for everybody.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So then, so you went through that journey in Nashville and then decided to move back to Texas. Now, Texas has a music scene that's big, and there's a lot of artists that actually then go back to Nashville because they've
Hmm.
blown up. And I even know a few now that have gone to Nashville and now have come back, to Texas.
Yeah.
So then you started your own label, is that right?
Yeah, so I ended up, yeah, speaking of Texas too, and going back and forth. I don't know if you knew, but when I moved to Nashville, right when I got on the show, I had just moved in to a townhome with a guy named John Party. And yeah, so John and I were roommates for 5 years. So he was my +1 on the TV show, and I used to bring him to Texas all the time with me and to play, and he would take me to California with him. And so it was cool because he got to be around when I was the top dog there and doing everything. We got introduced by another buddy of mine, Davey Obrick, who I was living with when I first moved to Nashville. He had met John in California and told him to move to Nashville. And so I just got selected to be on the show. And so I was prepping for that. And Davey was like, I got this kid that just moved to town. You need to go pick him up and take him around. And so it ended up being John. And he was shy at the time and just didn't know nobody. And so it was fun, like all the things we got to do. And like I said, I used to take him. He was my +1 to all the filmings of Nashville Star and everything. And yeah, I was 28 at the time, and he was 22, so we're both young and running around. So I used to bring him back home with me and stuff to play shows and stuff. And so a lot of people that from my hometown or just from anywhere, my friends in San Antonio are like always remember all that stuff. They're like, man, I remember when John used to come here. And so yeah, no, so he's doing pretty well. But yeah, so I ended up moving after living with John for 5 years. That whole label thing and everything that happened, with John Rich and everybody. I just left everybody because I had the option. Yeah, I had the option to, and I ended up moving back in around 2014. And there was a guy from Dallas named Jody Retlich, and he was in a he has hands in all types of businesses, but in the old business and everything. And but he saw me on the show, and so we have a little funny story too. So he saw me on the show, and this big old guy that owns a Energy Transfer, Kelsey Warren. He's got a ranch in Llano, well, it's like Cherokee, Texas, really by Llano, and he has a big music festival, and so it's on his ranch, and so it was an annual thing, and so Jody was a fan of mine on the show, and he emailed me, and he was like, "Hey, I want to invite you to be my guest at this festival, and what can we do to make this happen?" And he gave me the date and everything, and I'm like, man, I was like, the distance, I got to go play over here, and it's kind of a long drive, from there to there. And I was like, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. And he's like, well, what if I send you a plane? Like, what? Who the hell is this guy? I was like, who the hell is this guy? So I was like, well, let me talk to my manager and see what he's. And I didn't even have a manager at the time. I ever left everybody. And I gave it like a day or two, and I reached out. I was like, yeah, you can make it work. Yeah, that's cool. So Castroville, Texas is the only like closest little municipal airport there by Lytle. And so yeah, he came in his plane and picked me up, and we flew out. And he's got other planes too. So I got to working together with him. We used to fly a lot of different places, but it got me spoiled. But so yeah, I ended up going to this. So the first thing he did when he flew in, he got off the plane and had two Miller Lights in his hand, and gets off the plane. And I was like, okay, we're gonna be buddies. And yeah, so we ended up working together, and we ended up forming a label together, so that way I can go do my music. And he invested, I invested, and so I started just continuing to record my albums and under the label, and that way it looks professional, and we have that account to do everything with. So it's probably from I think my missing album on. I've are all under my 396 Entertainment label. So yeah, so like my first album, actually my first album, which that's what I was going to tell you. I think we might have to get to that story too. That was that was my first album when I was 17. But that was produced by a guy named Clint Bullard. Clint Bullard. So Clint Bullard was a guy that played in South Padre Island, and my dad was always looking around. Like we used to go for a family trip to South Padre every year in July, and so my dad would always look in a paper, like see if there's somewhere somebody singing or doing something. And I hated that. I hated that because I hated like being put on the spot all the time, and we'd always argue about that. And so it said Nashville songwriter playing at the Radisson Hotel on the deck, and so we went. My dad takes me over there and asked the guy, can my son sing and this and that? And so he lets me sing about a few songs, and he was just impressed. And he's like, man, why don't y'all come back the next day? I'll let you sing some more. So back then, that was like they had cassette tapes, so there was no CDs back then either. And so it was like $10 donation and get a free tape, whatever. So we went the next day, and I sang for like an hour, and so I my dad ended up contacting him later on, and for him to record me in Nashville. So I went and did about 10 of his songs, and that was my first album that I ever did in Nashville. So that was Clint Bullard, and then Bart Butler, the one from Hondo. He actually produced my Shot Glass record and my Missing album. And then after that, I've been so then Bart started working with John Party, and because of course you got that connection to all of us. You know, we're all like brothers hanging out.
Yeah.
And so Bart's actually just got a number one actually recently with John, the song that he wrote, "Your Heart of Mine." It was just on the radio. Your heart of mine.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, so Bart was a writer on that, but Bart's also been John's co-producer as well. So yeah, Bart started working with John and getting busy with him and doing everything. So once I start, like, I learned a lot from Bart, just producing wise,
Yeah.
and I wrote a lot of songs with Bart on my albums and everything. So I just learned so much that I was able to fortunate enough to like produce my own stuff. So
Yeah.
all my albums after Missing were all self-produced by me, by myself. So, and a lot of them are Bart songs. So I haven't written in a long time. Like I have some stuff that I've had stashed and I recorded, but a lot of them I just go to Bart and be like, hey man, send me some songs, like send me some stuff, and he's kind of kept up with the times because he's always still writing up there and everything.
Yeah.
So he's a lot of great songs. So I told him that you could be my since I'm not
Cover
writing a lot, you could be my Dean Dillon, like Dean Dillon is to
right.
George.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
So yeah, it's good. So it's worked out.
if you're ever up for co-writing, we could do it via Zoom. Let me
Yeah.
know.
I need to get back into it. It's just I'm more melody driven too, so I need like good lyricists too, like to get me going, get my mind going.
Yeah.
And once I get jump started, then I'm like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I'm always the writer, like ooh. How about this one? I'll write down the. How about this line? Ooh. It's kind of funny because my mind would just start rolling, and yeah, I'm more melody driven. So a lot of the songs I've written are all my melodies and stuff. Um,
So you're on
but
your sixth album, is that right?
yep, sixth
Your
album.
sixth
Yeah,
album.
just released that in May.
And that's Cowboy Cantina? Is
Yep.
that your sixth one? So I
Cowboy
have to ask
Cantina.
you, what is
Uh-huh.
your favorite song on it?
On that album,
Yes.
man,
Mine.
man, they're all good too. Like that, like I tell people too. Like every song that I record is something that I would feel that would. I'm not stingy with my songs, so
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna record a couple and then the rest are just fillers. You know, I every song's like something that I love or about it, or like it can be a single,
Yeah.
and that's why I get a lot of compliments on my stuff too. They're like, man, every song is great. I can just listen to every song. I was like, well, that's my goal, is to do that. Like, I want
Yeah.
every song to be good, not just like, oh, I like this one. But man, that's why it's tough to pick stuff like that. Like, cause every song is just badass. Like, I mean, to me, I love them. But man,
That's
on that
incredible
one,
that you feel
that's a
that
tough
way.
one. Let me see. Man, I do love "Don't Start."
That's my favorite.
I mean, because it just when I heard it, I was just like, and then just singing it, I has that toughness, this that don't start. It's just kind of like it just has that, because you're telling that girl like, hey, don't start your shit. Just you know,
So
you're gonna
it's
start.
like,
You better
and then
like
yours
it's
don't
has
don't give me
attitude. It
that
has
lip
attitude to it.
because they're gonna
Yeah.
end up on mine. So when I first
Yeah.
saw the title of the song, I was like, what is this about? And then I'm like, oh, I like that. That's so cool. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, and like yeah, because it just has that attitude to it. I just love everything about it. Just it's that I think I delivered that one really well because like in the
Oh yeah.
studio too, you have to do that. You have to like that's what brings that out is when you got to act that out in the studio. You know, you got I'm in there like don't start like I'm like like if I'm telling her in her face, I have to kind
Yeah.
of like pretend so I can get that attitude out in the vocal, and then that emotion out. And so that's what I do, like, technique wise in the studio. You gotta make it believable. So
Yeah.
every song I do is like, okay, I focus on what it's about, what it is, and how I have to sing it. And but yeah, that I really love the attitude on that one, and it just came off really great. Let's see, Cowboy Cantina was like it's really grown on me a lot, and I think a lot of people have really liked it because it's just the sound, and it's got that mysterious, like, dark sound, and it just I think it's a really great dance song too. I could picture everybody, like, in the dance hall dancing to it. Like, it just
Yeah.
really has a really cool melody and beat to it and stuff, and, man, I know, Any Other Girl, the first one is really kind of really love singing that one. I love the vocal on it, like, it's really got a
Yeah.
good little range to it. But, yeah, I mean, they're all great. I mean, it's just yeah, that's a great I think it's one of my best albums so far, like, just as far as, like, song-wise. I mean, I know it's only 5 songs. Yeah, well, every album I've done is pretty much done, like, 10 or 11 songs, but that's why it's, I guess, kinda cool because it's 5 songs and it's, like, 5 monster songs, you know, they're really
Yeah.
got
They're
some good ones in
incredible.
there.
So where do you get your motivation and inspiration from to keep on doing this? You know, because it's a tough business, but it's also a business where it's important to make connections and keep those connections good, right?
Yeah, I guess just depending on what caliber you wanna go, I guess, in a way, because nobody can ever stop you from singing or recording or doing anything like that, you know? Yeah, it's a business, but it's also your passion, what you love to do, so that's kinda my thing right now. I've kinda steered away from the business part, 'cause and sometimes I still feel, I guess, 'cause it's that passion that you have, you're gonna have that in your blood, and you're just gonna wanna, like, keep going for more, or
Hmm.
especially from what I've done in Nashville, like, you know, I
Yeah.
was there and I did it, and I've you know, I've got those connections. I've grown those relationships with everybody. I mean, I've been going there since 14 years old, and so you see things or hear things like, man, I still feel like I have unfinished business or something. You know, even with the things I've gone through with my labels
Yeah.
and management, I still feel like there's still something that I haven't finished yet that I got to do. But then I think about the business has changed so much too. Like, now you got TikTok, Instagram, this and that. It's all changed the whole dynamic of, you got
Yeah.
investors, you got there's so much stuff like that has changed since I lived out there and was doing it, you know. And so it kind of makes me worry about that sometimes, because it's like a whole different ball game. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of like, man, do I want to deal with the headache of that, the politics of that, and rather than, in a
Just
way,
enjoy
I'm kind of like,
it.
yeah, and just do it for the love of it now, you know. And because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, you know what, I'm in a way, I'm glad I did it, and for
Yeah.
years, and I got to be involved with all that, and I was younger, and I got to tour and do this, do that, and I mean, I'm getting older, and it's just like, and some people are like, "Oh, yeah, but you're still young." I'm like, "Yeah, I might be young, but not my body, man." Like, shit, imagine living all those years in Nashville, like, all the crap that I did. I was like
Well, I was gonna say because John Harvey, I feel like he's kind of brought back the country, and I was thinking, you're hearing
Yeah,
him on the radio in your country, so
yeah,
it
but
has that.
he's also been at it for a long time, because, you know, since the beginning, and he's built himself to that now, and you know, it'll be kind of like with me, not exactly starting over a little bit, but in a way,
Yeah.
kind of. But also, like, I can, being at his shows right now lately. Like, I've been seeing, he's still doing it, but I can tell he's getting tired. It's again, there's a
Yeah.
lot, especially the more popular he's getting, like, and the
Yeah.
more song and more things he's, you know, number ones he's getting, the more this and that. It's like they want more out of you, you know.
Oh
And
gosh.
now he's got his kid now, his baby, and you know, it's like the more
Oh,
popular you're getting, the more work they're gonna get out of you, and more on the road you're gonna be in. And, talking to him, I think I know I can tell he's getting a little tired, and that kind of, like, makes me rethink stuff too. And I'm like, man, I'm already, like, 43 years old, and I'm like, man, do I want to go, you know, start all over with that again? I was like, I think I should just, like, keep doing what I'm doing, love it, you know, play when I want, and go record my albums, still do my music on my own term,
yeah.
and still record great songs, and still just do it for the passion and for the love of it, and then the business side of it, you know, and going for that, because sometimes I do, but I'm just like, and I probably could if I went. There's probably other things I could do, because I was like, you know, maybe I won't. You don't have to be an artist. Maybe I could just go songwrite, and just go write some hits
Yeah.
for some people too. I mean, there's different things I can do. It's just,
Right.
I don't know. I just got to make that decision, and I still think about it sometimes too. It still eats me up, but I think that's just the passion, having that gift to do what I do, and I just gotta make that choice, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad I can die and not regret, not ever doing that, you know, chasing that dream. And I think that's what a lot of people respected and respect me for. And that, you know, it takes a lot to just drop everything and just go and chase a dream, you know, and do it full time
Yeah.
and go to the level that I was able to do it at, you know. I used to get emails all the time when I was on the show, just from like I said, just being like Hispanic country artists. There's only been the four that I and I mentioned that actually had number one hits and records and stuff like that. And so I used to get emails on when I was on the show, just of Hispanic artists just being like, "Man, thanks for paving that way. Thanks for like, I never knew I could do it, you know, like because they're Hispanic or they didn't have the connections or whatever, or so they just think that they just thought they couldn't do it. So I kind of open that door for them and to make them push a little more and make them feel that they can do it. But it's all about, you know, it's not even about your nationality or anything. It's just really just getting up and doing it and going and chase it. You know, I mean, that's what I did. I didn't think of anything because I was Hispanic or anything. I just like had that passion and love for it. I'm like, man, I don't want to. I already had the opportunities with the labels flying me up and coming down, so I didn't want to lose that. And so I was like, man, I have that interest. I might as well go and chase it and run with it. And so I was glad that at that age I did it younger and went and chased it and got to live that life. And
There's still more for you, I know.
yeah,
The music
but
is in your heart. I know
oh
exactly
yeah, for
what
sure.
you feel. You know, when you
Yeah.
get up on that stage and you are singing your heart out to people, and then they're singing along with you on your
Mhm.
songs, I mean, that's like the best thing in the
Oh
world,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. No, they do, and it's really flattering. You know, a lot of people love my stuff, and then there's also a lot of people overseas too. Like I have a song. If you look up my song "Rosa del Mar," it's my only bilingual song on there on one of my albums, and but I wrote that in Key West a long time ago, and that's actually just put Gabe Garcia "Rosa del Mar," and man, that just scroll on YouTube, and you'll see like it's like a huge line dance overseas. It's crazy. It's like
Oh,
the one of
that's
the biggest. Yeah, it's nuts. I'm like, it's just scrolling. There's like all these like from different countries, just people line dancing that song. And you just scroll, and it's just like line dance. And there's also like other artists on there that recorded themselves at festivals, like in Germany or wherever they were, and singing that song. So I was like, man, I need to find somebody to book me overseas that I would like it. Like I was like, I'm probably a star over there, and I don't even know it.
you do. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I can
I
be
need to get
your
over there.
opening act.
There you
Yes.
go, there you go. Go travel the world.
So I feel like we've kind of talked about what's most challenging. Well, I guess what would you say is most challenging?
I guess, man, that's kind of a well. I mean, I know the challenging part was also like I said, the Hispanic part because that was like I said, nobody's been around since Rick Trevino in the '90s. So when we used to go to my meetings in Nashville. So one thing before I even went to these meetings, Bart would always play them my stuff, and he would never tell them what I was. He would just be like, they'd be like, "God, who is this kid? Like, sounds great." And his name's Gabe Garcia, and they're like, "What? He's Mexican?" and and then it was just like a whole thing. It was like, well, how do we market that? How do we do this? How do we do that? I'm like, man, like just market me like anybody else, you know? And so
Yeah.
I guess that was a big challenging thing because it was always about that. When I was up there, when I had my big meetings with like Sony, RCA, anybody like that, like it was like, man, we love you, but what can we do? How can we do this? How do we do that? Like it was always like the thing. And I guess it was that, and then just the whole. I guess the challenging thing was too, like I said, going through these managers and waiting for them to make a move. I mean, I had the biggest managers. You feel they could do anything in their power, you know, and it was just like a waiting game. So I guess that was another challenging thing too. And I guess that's what makes me have that fire of like I have unfinished business, you know, because I never. It was always this close, this close, this close, always,
Yeah.
and it was always something that happened that, you know, that it didn't happen, you know. So it's just like, man, I still feel like there's has to be somebody that make it happen. But I
Like
need to
your
go. I need
gut.
to go there. So I don't know. So yeah, I just feel sometimes I still have like that unfinished business. But
You do.
so
We're going
we'll
to talk
see.
about that. After this podcast, we're going to talk about that. So, do you ever have doubts about yourself?
No, I guess like pretty much what I've been just telling you is I guess just the doubts of just like I guess what do I want to do? You know, what choice do I want to make right now in my life? Like, you know, I like I said, I feel like I have that want to go finish or go chase it again and go do this. And I feel like, well,
Yeah.
shit, it's changed so much that I want to, and I have a cool, you know, decent, good life, and just like I get to
Yeah.
do what I want and when I want, and you know, at my own speed and stuff, and not dealing with all the politics and the label stuff. So it's kind of I have a job, I have a paycheck coming in. I'm not over there
Yeah.
just starving,
Insurance.
playing million, get yeah, insurance. Yeah, that's another big thing too. You know, because because like I said, it's like okay, I'm already 43. I'm like okay, I have like a few years left of me. Do I want to be 50 years old, like going playing bar, doing all this stuff like that, or do I just, or do I want to work and play and retire and go play somewhere and just go sit like in Cabo and go play at a bar and just play for fun?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
tell
kind of
Willie
the
that.
two
Willie
lives.
Nelson, how old is
Yeah.
he? He's
Oh, I
80
know, I know,
and he's
I know,
still
I know.
playing. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think you've got a lot more years in you than you think.
yeah. I guess I've gotta decide. So that's probably the doubtful thing is just like not doubting myself, but just doubting the life that I want to live or not. You know, just kind of well, what I want to do. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing I gotta really decide on.
So, what do you want listeners to know most about you and your path?
I guess I mean I guess just that I appreciate everything they've done for me and just the whole support. I mean, people still love my music, still want to see me sing, still want, you know, they still push me to book gigs and just keep continuing my music. And I just want them to know I've done 100%, just gone and chased this dream and done it and still doing it. And I
Yeah.
will never stop. I'll never stop it. So
Yeah.
like I said, I think it's basically just what caliber I want to be at the moment. But because I have slowed down a lot and just kind of like because I tell people too sometimes I'm like, man, imagine like, you know, I'm 43. Imagine playing almost every weekend since you were 17 years old. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Been alive, it's a lot of things, and it's just kind of like nice right now to kind of just chill and do at my own pace and play when I want and stuff. That way, I don't know. It's nice to have some free weekends to do stuff I want to do and for
Yeah.
myself and family and stuff like that too. So, but then it's like, shit, I'm taking too much of a break. I miss playing. I miss that. You know, I need to get back on. I need to get back at it. So, but yeah. So no, I just, you know, I just want people to know I appreciate everything they've done and their support and it's meant a lot. I still keep doing it.
So, what if someone is chasing their dream or wants to pursue a career in music? What advice would you give them?
I guess it would just be like I did. I mean, if you're gonna do it, go do it 100%. Like, don't half-ass it. You know, that's kind of what the labels wanted. The labels want like if depending what caliber you want to do it at, I guess really it depends. But I mean, everything of course you got to do, you know, your best at and really do it. But I mean, if depending if you really want to like go chase this thing seriously and really do it, I mean, you want to go do it 100% and just not let anything stop you. And just, I mean, I left my job and a great job, and I sold my house and left my family, everybody, girlfriend behind. I mean, I left everything just to go chase this dream, and I was glad that I did it. I mean, I took out my retirement. I did everything. I lived on that for like years, and I had that cushion. So I didn't want to be that artist to go and oh, I'm working three jobs and I'm singing and I'm doing this and that. Like I already had the connections already in Nashville, which I was fortunate to have. So that helped out. So it just took me, and the labels weren't going to do anything unless they saw that I was serious about it and moved to Nashville. You know, so
Yeah.
that's if you're gonna do it. I mean, you got to go just all in, pretty much. So if there's something you want to do and pursue it, I mean, you got to go all in. If not, I mean, you just kind of if you just want to sing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but just sing your heart out and just do it, you know, for the love of it. But if you want to really go chase this thing, yeah, you really got to just go 100%.
So, where can listeners find your music?
Pretty much everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple. I mean, pretty much every music platform you have. I don't have CDs anymore because nobody does CDs really. my mom bought a car and then you have a CD player in there. So I had to show her how to put all her music on her phone and
Or
show her
do
how to
the
link it to.
USB.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't even know if they have that anymore. Shit. Man, computers don't even come with a disc, CD disc thing anymore.
I know.
It's crazy. So, but yeah, any music platform you can find my music on, or go to gabegarcia.com and it'll take you to all the links you need to go to.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Shoot, there's probably a lot of stuff we've. I've actually even thought about like I don't even know how to start, but like write a book or something, like just have somebody sit there and just type up everything about my career and stuff and that people want to know. Because there's so much, like especially like when I do interviews like this, I just ramble on and on and on and on. Like there's so much to tell, but and it's funny because I don't let them ask questions sometimes because or I probably already answered like 20 questions in one story. But I'm probably like the worst, like sometimes in these things because yeah, I'll just ramble on I'll just start from the beginning and just keep going. And but
No,
yeah,
I
they
love
just I mean just experiences and everything. It's just there's so much. I mean, from like being at the bar, sitting and having a drink with Mel Tillis at the bar. Just have a picture of me and Mel Tillis at the bar in Nashville. There'd be like five of us in there, and he'd come in there with his jacket and getting ready to go to the Opry, and he'd come in and have a couple beers and then go to the Opry. Just things like that I got to do. Just have a bunch of pictures of people that I've met through all my years, and just the things I got to do, like we were mentioned earlier. I mean, it's just like not many people get to do that, and I've been fortunate to do that, and it just there's so many stories I can just tell. Like it's probably
Tell
some
us,
I can't, but a lot.
tell us some more. Well, okay, so the ones that you
No, it's
can.
just funny. No, but it's just I mean, and it was cool too because like the time when John was on, we're doing Nashville Star, he was doing Celebrity Apprentice, so he was there with Little John and Meatloaf and all these guys. So John at the time would have to go film that too, and be a judge on Nashville Star. So he was so when I started working with him, they started airing the show of Celebrity Apprentice. So he would have watch parties at his house. So I would go to the parties and meet and be hanging out with all these guys, and it was really cool. Like just the guys I get to hang out with and meet and be friends with. And there's a lot of big artists like Billy Ray Cyrus. I mean, he was a host on the show, and so I got to be good friends with him, and we still would keep in touch. So it's kind of like crazy. Like me, Billy Ray Cyrus, like we were buddies. Like what
Yeah.
the heck? That's the biggest icon guy ever. And he came into Kerrville and played a show, and I went, and he got me on stage and everything. And I mean, it was cool. I mean, just things like that. It's just nuts. Even in the Tejano, like Spanish industry, I used to sing a lot with these guys back in the day, and some of these guys are the biggest guys in Tejano music, and they're all my friends. And I recorded a song on one of my albums. I'm the one that ain't come back with David Lee Garza and Ram Herrera. They're two big Tejano icons. I told my mom, is it kind of weird that me growing up as a kid and sleeping on the chairs while you are dancing or whatever, like when we're kids, you go to the dances and they were there dancing to all these like these big icons of Spanish music, and now I'm like singing with them now. It's
Yeah.
crazy. They're like my good friends, and it's just crazy how everything just comes into all that with music, all the experiences. I mean, I got to sing for George Bush when he was governor and stuff like that. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of crazy things that music gets you involved with because everybody loves music, and all the things I've gotten to play, people I got to meet, like music has really done a whole lot. Like just a lot of connections. I'm really connected with a lot of things and a lot of people. And it's funny because like my friends or even girls I would date, they'd be like, "Can we go anywhere where nobody knows you? Or can we get?"
I love it.
Yeah, they're like, "How you know everybody? You always have or somebody needs something." I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me call so and so," and they're like, "You have the biggest network." It's just so cool. I mean, that's what it's crazy what singing does, man. Singing opens a lot of doors. And I guess that's another good, I guess a good thing you could tell somebody getting into something. But it's a really music has a really broad thing. It's brought a lot of great memories and experiences my whole life. It's crazy. It's a really cool deal to be part
What
of.
was
So
your
I'm glad.
most favorite? What was something that inspired you so much? Like meeting
Uh,
someone and something they said to you. Maybe what was the
um,
best advice you were ever given?
And I don't know, 'cause we're probably drinking half the time. I don't remember. I probably forgot a lot of it. That's why I got some pictures. There's probably a lot of conversations I don't remember having. But no, I don't know. I guess like just like I guess just really looking back, like I said, all those pictures. Like I have one with George Jones and hanging out with him.
Yeah.
We're both wearing overalls, and we were both like at a party at John Rich's house, and where I mean it's just like I don't know, just because all these guys aren't around anymore, and just I guess just really I've been fortunate to see the whole industry the way it's changed, the way it was back then, the way it's changed now. Like it's
Yeah.
going back there, or just the music style, the labels, the whole town. I don't know, I guess I'm just fortunate to like have really experienced all that and watched it to what it is. And but it's like back at that time, you're like, man, that was like the best times. And now you hear it's really changed so much that you hear stories from other friends or other musicians and other people
Yeah.
you grew up with in that industry, and just like they're kind of sad in a way, how it's changed. And all the writers that you used to hear in Nashville that sang and wrote the biggest hits, like crazy. I mean, you don't really hear that no more. That's what the whole music industry has really changed a lot. And some of the songs too, it's just man, I remember back then. It's just like man, when songs just give you chills,
Yeah.
just like man, the story behind them. And I fear I don't know. I feel sometimes like nowadays that they don't have that meat and that thing to the song anymore. It's really
Yeah.
changed a lot. So it's kind of sad a little bit in a way, but so I'm glad to have lived that time, and I got to write with a lot of these guys too,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what helped me with my songwriting too. Because when you step into a room with some guys that had some major hits and they're really great lyricists and songwriting, it pushes you to be better and really step up to that game. You don't want to just sit there and just be like a little rookie and just be like, damn, I don't know what I'm doing. So so yeah, it really pushes you to really be a better writer and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just there's just so much. I don't know. It's that's why I say I think I need to write a book or something. There's so much that I've had and I've dealt with and experienced. It's just crazy. I can go all day answering stuff or just talking about things, but it's I guess that's just really built my drive and my passion for it because of what I've experienced and what I've done throughout my whole career.
Yeah. Well, that is incredible. I mean, thank you so much for taking your time. What
Yeah,
was
no, thanks for having me.
what was supposed to be a 30-minute interview, but it's not.
Yeah, how
It's
long was that?
quite a bit more than that. I'm thinking maybe we're going into an hour, maybe, or hour and a half.
Awesome. Hey, hey, there's a lot. There's a lot. I guess
Yeah.
I guess you should have done like chapter one, chapter segment one, segment two, segment.
Yeah. We'll have to we'll have to redo this again in 6 months from now,
Yeah,
and
right.
we'll have to do like
See where I'm at. Yeah,
stories.
see where I'm at later on. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Basically, just what caliber I want to be at, at the moment. But because I have slowed down a lot, and just kind of like I tell people too. Sometimes I'm like, man, imagine like I'm 43. Imagine playing almost every weekend since you were 17 years old.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's
Yeah.
been a lot. I've missed a lot. I've missed a lot of things, and it's just kind of like nice right now to kind of just chill and do at my own pace and play when I want and stuff. That way, I don't know. It's nice to have some free weekends to do stuff I want to do and for
Yeah.
myself and family and stuff like that too. So, but then it's like, shit, I'm taking too much of a break. I miss playing. I miss that. I need to get back on. I need to get back at it. So, but yeah. So no, I just want people to know I appreciate everything they've done and their support and it's meant a lot. I still keep doing it.
So, what if someone is chasing their dream or wants to pursue a career in music? What advice would you give them?
I guess it would just be like I did. I mean, if you're gonna do it, go do it 100%. Like don't half-ass it. That's kind of what the labels wanted. The labels want like if depending what caliber you want to do it at, I guess really it depends. But I mean, everything of course you got to do your best at and really do it. But I mean, if depending if you really want to like go chase this thing seriously and really do it, I mean, you want to go do it 100% and just not let anything stop you. And just, I mean, I left my job and a great job and sold my house and left my family, everybody, girlfriend behind. I mean, I left everything just to go chase this dream, and I was glad that I did it. I mean, I took out my retirement. I did everything. I lived on that for like years, and I had that cushion. So I didn't want to be that artist to go and, oh, I'm working 3 jobs and I'm singing and I'm doing this and that. Like, I already had the connections already in Nashville, which I was fortunate to have. So that helped out. So it just took me, and the labels weren't going to do anything unless they saw that I was serious about it and moved to Nashville. So
Yeah.
that's, if you're gonna do it, I mean, you got to go just all in, pretty much. So if there's something you want to do and pursue it, I mean, you got to go all in. If not, I mean, you just kind of, if you just want to sing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but just sing your heart out and just do it, for the love of it. But if you want to really go chase this thing, yeah, you really got to just go 100%.
So where can listeners find your music?
Pretty much everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple. I mean, pretty much every music platform you have. I don't have CDs anymore because nobody does CDs really. My mom bought a car and then you have a CD player in there, so I had to show her how to put all her music on her phone and
Or
show her
take
how
a
to link it to.
USB.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't even know if they have that anymore. And computers don't even come with a CD disc thing anymore.
I know.
It's crazy. So, but yeah, any music platform you can find my music on, or go to GabeGarcia.com and it'll take you to all the links you need to go to.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Shoot, there's probably a lot of stuff we've I've actually even thought about, like, I don't even know how to start, but like write a book or something, like just have somebody sit there and just type up everything, like, about my career and stuff, and that people want to know, because there's so much, like, especially like when I do interviews like this, I just ramble on and on and on and on, like there's so much to tell. But and it's funny because I don't let them ask questions sometimes, because I probably say, like, I probably already answered like 20 questions in one story. But I'm probably like the worst, like sometimes in these things, because yeah, I'll just ramble on I'll just start from the beginning and just keep going. And
No,
but yeah,
I
they
love
just, I mean, just experiences and everything. It's just there's so much. I mean, from like being at the bar, sitting and having a drink with Mel Tillis, like at the bar, just have a picture of me and Mel Tillis at the bar in Nashville. There'd be like 5 of us in there, and he'd come in there with his jacket and getting ready to go to the Opry, and he'd come in and have a couple beers and then go to the Opry. Just things like that I got to do. Just have a bunch of pictures of people that I've met through all my years, and just the things I got to do, like we were mentioned earlier. I mean, it's just like, not many people get to do that, and I've been fortunate to do that, and it just, there's so many stories I can just tell. Like it's probably
Tell
some I
us,
can't, but a lot.
tell us some more. Well, okay, so the ones that you
No, it's just funny. No,
can.
but it's just, I mean, and it was cool too, because like the time when like John was on, we're doing Nashville Star, like he was doing Celebrity Apprentice, so he was there like with like Little John and Meatloaf and all these guys. So John at the time he would have to go film that too, and be a judge on Nashville Star. So he was so when I started working with him, they started airing the show of Celebrity Apprentice. So he would have watch parties at his house. So I would go to the parties and meet and be hanging out with all these guys, and it was really cool. Like, just the guys I get to hang out with and meet and be friends with. And there's a lot of big artists like Billy Ray Cyrus. I mean, he was a host on the show, and so I got to be good friends with him, and we still would keep in touch. So it's kind of like crazy. Like me and Billy Ray Cyrus, like, we're buddies. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck? That's the biggest icon guy ever. And he came to Kerrville and played a show, and I went, and he got me on stage and everything. And I mean, it was cool. It was like, I mean, just things like that. It's just nuts. Like, it's just, even in the Tejano, like, Spanish industry. I used to sing a lot with these guys back in the day, and some of these guys are the biggest guys in Tejano music, and they're all my friends. And I recorded a song on one of my albums. I'm the one that ain't come back, with David Lee Garza and Ram Herrera. They're two big Tejano icons. I tell my mom, like, is it kind of weird that me growing up as a kid and sleeping on the chairs, while you are dancing or whatever, like, we're kids, you go to the dances, and they were there dancing to all these, like, these big icons, that Spanish, Spanish music. And now I'm like singing with them now, it's
Yeah.
crazy. They're like my good friends. And it's just crazy how everything just comes into all that with music, all the experiences. I mean, I got to sing for George Bush when he was governor, and stuff like that. There's a lot of different things. There's a lot of crazy things that music gets you involved with because everybody loves music, and all the things I've gotten to play, people I got to meet, like music has really done a whole lot. Like just a lot of connections. I'm really connected with a lot of things and a lot of people, and it's funny because like my friends or even girls I would date, they'd be like, "Can we go anywhere where nobody knows you, or can we get?"
I love it.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you know everybody. You always have or somebody needs something." I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me call so and so," and they're like you have like the biggest network. Like it's just so cool. I mean, that's what it's crazy what singing does, man. Singing like it opens a lot of doors. And maybe I guess that's what that's another good, I guess a good thing you could tell somebody getting into something. It's a really music has a really broad thing. It's I don't know, it brings it's brought a lot of great memories and experiences my whole life. So it's just I don't know, it's crazy. It's a really cool deal to be part
What
of.
was
So
your
I'm glad.
most favorite? What was something that inspired you so much? Like meeting
Uh,
someone and something they said to you. Maybe what was the
um,
best advice you were ever given?
and I don't know because we're probably drinking half the time. I don't remember. I probably forgot a lot of it. That's why I got some pictures. There's probably a lot of conversations I don't remember having. But no, I don't know. I guess I guess just really looking back, like I said, all those pictures. Like I have one with George Jones, and hanging out.
Yeah,
Hey, we're both wearing overalls, and they were both like at a party at John Rich's house, and where I mean, it's just like I don't know, just because all these guys aren't around anymore, and just I guess just really I've been fortunate to see the whole industry the way it's changed, the way it was back then, the way it's changed now. Like it's
yeah,
going back there, or just the music style, the labels, the whole town. I don't know, I guess I'm just fortunate to like have really experienced all that and watched it to what it is. And but it's like back at that time, you're like, man, that was like the best times, and now you hear it's really changed so much that I don't know, you hear stories from other friends or other musicians and other people
yeah,
you grew up with in that industry, and just like they're kind of sad in a way, how it's changed. And all the writers that you used to hear in Nashville that sang and wrote the biggest hits, like crazy. I mean, you don't really hear that no more. That's what the whole music industry has really changed a lot. And some of the songs too, it's just man, I remember back then. It's just like man, when songs just give you chills, or
yeah,
just like man, the story behind them. And I fear I don't know. I feel sometimes like nowadays that they don't have that meat and that thing to the song anymore. It's really
yeah,
changed a lot. So it's kind of sad a little bit in a way, but so I'm glad to have lived that time, and I got to write with a lot of these guys too, and
yeah,
and that's kind of what helped me with my songwriting too. Because when you step into a room with some guys that had some major hits and they're really great lyricists and songwriting, it pushes you to be better and really step up to that game. To you don't want to just sit there and just be like a little rookie and just be like, damn, I don't know what I'm doing. So so yeah, it really pushes you to really be a better writer and all that. So
yeah,
yeah, there's just so much. I don't know. It's that's why I say I think I need to write a book or something. There's so much that I've had and I've dealt with and experienced. It's just crazy. Like I can go all day, you know, answering stuff or just talking about things. But it's I guess that's just really built my drive and my passion for it. Because of what I've experienced and what I've done throughout my whole career.
yeah. Well, that is incredible. I mean, thank you so much for taking your time. What
Yeah,
was
no, thanks for having me.
what was supposed to be a 30-minute interview, but it's not.
Yeah,
It
how
was
long was that?
quite a bit more than that. I'm thinking maybe we're going into an hour, maybe, or hour and a half.
Awesome. Hey, there's a lot. There's a lot. I guess you,
Yeah.
I guess you should have done like chapter one, chapter segment 1, segment 2, segment.
Yeah, we'll have to we'll have to redo this again in 6 months from now,
Yeah,
and
right.
we'll have to do like
See where I'm at.
stories.
Yeah, see where I'm at later on. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That was awesome getting to hear Gabe's experiences. To connect with Gabe, see the link in my show notes. Do you have unfinished business? Is there something you'd love to do but think you can't? I know it might feel like an uphill climb and you're doubting yourself in your mind, but I want you to pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and remember this. Every journey starts with a single step. And you've heard that in just about every episode of my podcast. You've got what it takes to take that step. Think about it. Every successful person has been there facing uncertainty and believing in a dream that seemed beyond reach. But they pushed forward. They persevered. Look at J.K. Rowling, for example. I recently had a life and death experience with my spouse. It reminded me how the time we have here is such a precious gift. So why keep waiting on a dream or a goal or something we're passionate about? Start taking the steps. What helped me was my Positively You course. Through a journey of self-discovery, I was able to create a roadmap that will help me continue my personal growth. You can take the first step towards your empowered self with my free self-assessment quiz. Be among the first 10 to grab a seat in my online course, and you'll get an exclusive rate. Visit bonnielang.com/igniteyou, IGNITEYOU, for more details. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate you. I hope you find as much inspiration in these amazing interviews as I do. Remember to hit that subscribe button. If you or someone you know is deeply passionate about their work, or you have a topic in mind for discussion, drop me a message at bonnie@bonnielang.com or any of my social media platforms. Wishing you a fantastic day, sweet friend. Sending you so much peace, love, happiness, and hugs.